Hey, good morning again, grade fives. Another quick video just to go over what our group assignments look like for Tuck Everlasting. So in Tuck Everlasting, I've given you 2 assignments so far. I'll give you another one this week. And you are supposed to meet with your group to talk about one part of that particular chapter or chapters. So what you received last week was a sheet that looks like this. It says Tuck Everlasting Novel Study, and at the very bottom of the sheet it says Jobs. Okay, and there are 6 different jobs listed on that sheet. So these are the jobs that you should be using while you're doing your group work for Tuck Everlasting. So when you meet with your group, you need a facilitator. Actually, it's number 3 on the list. You need a facilitator. That just means a person who's going to lead the discussion. So this person is the person asking the questions or reading the sheets. So you might, if you're the facilitator, say, okay, we're on chapter 1 and it says here that we are supposed to draw a Ferris wheel. All right, so I guess we should all draw a Ferris wheel, and then the person can be continuing to ask the questions. So it says here that we're supposed to talk about, have we ever felt what Natalie Babbitt felt like at the top of a Ferris wheel? What does it feel like when we're at the top of a Ferris wheel? And you might ask that of the participants. So the goal here, grade 5s, is that the facilitator leads the discussion. Your job as the facilitator or the leader is to make sure everybody in the group gets a chance to participate and encourage them to participate. So you might actually ask someone who hasn't said anything. You might say, Annie, you haven't said anything. What do you think about a Ferris wheel? Have you ever been on a Ferris wheel before? And Annie, who may not otherwise want to say much, should respond. So everybody has a job. So that's the facilitator's job, is to keep people talking, to lead them through the group discussion side of the sheet, and to talk about anything else in regards to the novel study. Then you also have somebody called a peer evaluator. The peer evaluator is the person who is going to mark each member of the group as to how they are participating. So you give them a level 1, 2, 3, or 4. So if Annie is not the facilitator, maybe she's the peer evaluator. And you're going to rotate these jobs after every meeting. So you are never the facilitator 2 meetings in a row. Okay, you rotate that around the group. Same with the other jobs. So you're never the peer evaluator 2 times in a row either. The peer evaluator is going to evaluate the other members of the group and basically give them a level 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on how well they participated and were actively involved in the discussion. So if Billy sat and didn't do anything and didn't respond to any questions, you might give Billy a 0 or a level 1. If Billy was maybe participating once in a while, but he'd get up and leave, and then he'd go, play with something in his room and then come back. Again, maybe he answered a question or 2, so you might give him a level 2. It's pretty easy to get a level 4 here. You just need to stay focused on the topic at hand. Don't get distracted by other things. So don't be talking about, what are you doing this afternoon? Are you playing Clash of Clans? You can talk about that later. Stay focused on the novel study. So that's one thing that the peer evaluator is doing. How focused is everybody on the discussion at hand? Or are they distracted and playing around and so on? And then you email me as the peer evaluator. You email back to me the mark for that group for that discussion. Mr. Gaunt, we had our group discussion for the prologue in chapter 1. Here are the members of our group, and here's the mark that I gave each of them. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and so on. Okay, that's how that goes. So you need to be actively engaged, not fooling around, goofing around, staying focused on the topic at hand. So you've got a facilitator, a peer evaluator. It says here reader, but really everybody should be taking turns reading. So if it says read the prologue, like it did for the first one, then you should be taking turns. There were 6 paragraphs in the prologue. So you might want to say, if there's 3 in your group, you might want to say, hey, let's everybody do 2 paragraphs. Okay, and Emma, you start. And then we work our way around and make sure the facilitator might decide on who's reading, or you can decide that amongst yourself. Say, oh, let's do that, or let's just read a page each if it's a longer chapter rather than just a paragraph. Some paragraphs are really short, and so on. Make sure everybody gets to read, okay, in every chapter. Then it talks about a summarizer, and sometimes I'm going to ask you to summarize your group discussion. So the summarizer should be taking notes and saying, Mr. Gaunt, here's what we talked about. It went really well. Here's some questions we came up with. Talk about what you talked about. In the summarizer, I might ask for a report from your group. And maybe you need to get back together and say, what did we talk about? Because Mr. Gaunt's asking me for a report. So somebody has to give that report. Sometimes I ask for that, sometimes I don't. Then recorder, that's kind of the same as a peer evaluator. We probably won't use that. And then wordsmith. So I would like all of you to be doing this one, where you find interesting words in the chapter that we have assigned and write them down, even if they're not on your vocabulary list that we put up there at the beginning of this novel study. So you'll notice as we read through that there are a lot of words that appear from our vocabulary list, because of course that's where I took them from, the novel study. But you'll find a whole bunch of other words that I did not put on your vocabulary list that are in the novel that you say, oh, I don't know what that word means. Then the wordsmith, everybody should be writing down any other words that you don't know, finding out what the definitions are, and recording those. Okay? That's how you run a good group discussion for your novel study, Tuck Everlasting. Well, while I'm here, I thought I would just maybe give you a brief little tour, or at least a visual of the classroom. So here I am recording. So here's the classroom, and I'm still on the tripod here, but maybe I should take it off the tripod just so that I can move around a little bit more freely. So there you go. There's the classroom on Monday, April the 6th. It looks pretty much exactly the same as when we left. And there's everybody's, oh, make sure I get everybody's desk in here right at the front. There you go. You can see your desk, see all your stuff. That's it. All right. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.